Krásný dobrý den, vítejte u dalšího videa. Welcome to another video. Today's topic is going to be about verbs and about se and si. I've already covered reflexive verbs that take se and si. I divided them into 6 groups. That was some time ago. This video is going to be about something a little bit different. I would like to show you some common verbs that often take se. They can also take si, but they don't have to have the se or si. There are quite a few that we use in everyday language, so I thought this would be really good even for those that start with the language. So if you are more of a beginner, this video will be useful for you, especially the beginning. I'll be using some simple sentences, and those of you that are more advanced will appreciate some complex sentences that I will show you later in the video. How does it work with the verb myt, to wash? When do we say myt se? When do we say myt si? And when is it that we don't need these at all? Jdeme na to! Ahoj, vítejte na mém kanále Czech by Zuzka, kde vám pomocí angličtiny vysvětluju českou gramatiku. We will start with these 3 sentences that all contain the verb myt, which means to wash. Myju nádobí. I'm washing the dishes. Myju nádobí. Myju se. I'm washing myself or I'm washing up. Myju si ruce. I'm washing my hands. Myju si ruce. What do we see here? Myju se is here. Myju si. And here there is no se or si. How do we know? First of all, I'm going to tell you that with this specific verb, the se and si is connected with the grammatical case. When we have a reflexive verb, that is, verb that has se or si, it's not always the situation. Sometimes the se is there just because that verb always comes with se, like ptát se, to ask. But this is a specific verb, it's a transitive verb that needs an object. You can forget about this grammar talk if you are not comfortable. I'm gonna carry on in a friendly way. Myju nádobí. I'm washing the dishes. Nádobí is the direct object of the sentence. That means I am washing something. I am the subject. Nádobí, the dishes, is the object. I am washing the dishes. The direct object here is in the accusative case. Except it doesn't change here. Nádobí is always nádobí. Myju nádobí. What about this one? Myju se. I'm washing myself. Já myju se. Já is the subject. Where is the object? Se. Se is the object. It is the direct object as well. And it's also in the accusative case. That's why I used the blue marker as well. Myju se. And what about myju si ruce? We have 3 words. Já si myju ruce. And in English, if you remember, it translates to I'm washing my hands. Where is my? Why don't we say moje ruce or svoje? Because it's Czech, and in Czech we love to use these words instead of the possessive pronouns like moje. Not always, but many times we replace it with these. Myju si ruce. Where is the direct object? I'm washing my hands. I'm washing hands, actually. Ruce, that's the object. And it's in the accusative case. What about this one? Si. Si is in the dative case, and it is the indirect object. We are practically saying, I'm washing hands to myself. Instead of saying, I'm washing my hands, it is, I wash hands to myself. And this is how we naturally say it in Czech. Myju si ruce. Why can't we say myju se ruce? Because se means myself, the whole body. If we don't specify, then we would say se. It would refer to the subject. So it would be myself in this case. We cannot say myju se nádobí. That doesn't make sense. We would have 2 direct objects. It would be confusing. You would not know, am I washing myself or am I washing the dishes? What if I say myju si nádobí? Does that make sense? Surprisingly, it does. If you said Myju si nádobí, it means you would emphasize that you're washing your dishes. So we would have the same structure like this. Oh, Myju si nádobí. You know, these are my dishes and I'm washing them. Not a typical sentence, but it's correct. And it makes sense too. I want to show you this table. What do you see? You see the cases. You see all kinds of forms, and you also see si and se. So you see that se corresponds to the accusative case. Sometimes you can have sebe, the full form. And si works as dative, the indirect object. So this is the whole mystery. It's the reflexive pronoun, oneself, and it has cases. Isn't that great? What is also great is that this se and si is the same for every person. It doesn't change. So it doesn't matter if I change this and I say myješ nádobí, you wash dishes, these would not change. Myješ se, myješ si ruce. These would stay the same. And I'm going to say this sentence one more time. Need is a transitive verb. What does that mean? A transitive verb needs an object. That means if I say myju, it's incomplete. Myju, I wash. It doesn't make sense. It's incomplete. Also in English. English also has transitive and intransitive verbs. So you need to add more items to complete the action. Myju, to. I wash what? What do I wash? Myself, my hands, the dishes. And there it is. Se and si explained. Now, I believe this is not enough, so let's see more examples. I also want to show you how it works in the past tense. It works exactly the same. So, for example, the verb umýt, which is also to wash, but it's perfective. To wash as a complete action. Umyl jsem auto, or umyla jsem auto, means I washed the car. We don't know, is it my car? It's just a car, or the car. Umyl jsem auto. And the object, the direct object, is auto. Accusative case. Umyla jsem se, now we know. Umyl jsem se or umyla jsem se means I washed myself. Se also works as a direct object and it's in the accusative case. And umyl jsem si ruce, I washed my hands. Ruce is the accusative case and si is the dative case. Indirect object and a direct object. It just might be more confusing because there are more words because of the past tense. And then one more thing, which I also covered in the past. This was ja person. We have to be careful in past tense with the ty person. Ty is tricky because it creates some interesting contracted forms. If you want to ask, umyl si auto, there's nothing strange. Umyl si auto or umyla si auto, no problem. What if you want to ask, did you wash yourself? You ask a child, we say umyl or umyla. Ses. What is ses? Ses is si and se together. Because in past tense it would be si and then se, which is incorrect. Si se should not be said. It contracts to ses. I have a video about it, as I said before. So it's actually a contracted form, se and si together. Now, what happens here? Did you wash your hands? Would be umyl or umyla sis ruce. Umyl sis ruce, umyla sis ruce. The same thing. Ruce as accusative and sis is the contracted form. Si and si together. Remember, si is not supposed to be said in Czech. Although people do say it, but it should be sis. So this is what happens in ty person in past tense. Keep an eye on that. I'm going to show you 6 more verbs that would act in the same way. So one of them is čistit. Čistit means to clean thoroughly or sometimes brush teeth. Čistím auto means I am cleaning the car, for example, vacuuming or spraying or doing all kinds of details. Čistím auto. Now we know that auto is the direct object. If you want to say I'm cleaning myself, for example, I tripped in the forest and I'm full of dry leaves, so I'm cleaning myself. Čistím se. čistím se. Or you could also say like I'm cleansing myself. Maybe you're drinking some kind of interesting teas and blends to clean your system, to clean your body. Čistím se. Čistím si zuby. This is where we translate it as brushing. I brush my teeth, or I am brushing my teeth. Literally in Czech we clean our teeth. Čistím si zuby. Si is in the dative case. Remember, we don't say I brush my teeth. You don't say moje zuby. You say čistím si zuby. Even if it's a different pronoun. For example, Lenka si čistí zuby. Lenka brushes her teeth. Lenka si čistí zuby. Now we are getting to an interesting verb, obléct. Obléct means to get dressed or put on clothes, depends what we have in the sentence. It works exactly the same. We usually use it for dressing ourselves, but also for dressing a child, for example, or dressing your dog. So parents could communicate and one could ask the other, oblečeš vašíka, prosím tě? Oblečeš vašíka? Will you dress vašík? Vašík is a familiar name for Václav. Oblečeš vašíka? So vašíka is in the accusative case. Will you dress vašík? Obleč se. Obleč se means get dressed. Dress yourself. Obleč se. Obleč si ty nové kalhoty. Put on those new pants. Obleč si ty nové kalhoty. Nové kalhoty is in the accusative case here. Si is the dative case, indirect object. Put on your new pants. A question. What happens if you hear this sentence? Oblečeš si vašíka? This si emphasizes that vašík is yours. So, I don't know, it could be out of frustration. Like, hey, can you dress Vašek? I am so tired of him. Or parents in the party. One parent telling the other, oh, can you dress up your vašík? It's also possible. I could not resist this specific Czech verb, obout se. Sorry, actually, this was obout or obout se, obout si, which means to put on shoes. A specific verb for putting on shoes. We also have a specific verb for taking off shoes, but we can leave it for some other time. These three sentences are very, very similar. Can you guess which of these sentences means I'm going to put on my shoes first? Put on my shoes first. It's the middle one. Nejdřív se obuju. Obout means to put on shoes. Nejdřív se obuju means first I'm gonna put on shoes. Usually my shoes. Nejdřív se obuju. Nejdřív tě obuju. First, I'll put on your shoes. Not that I'm gonna wear your shoes. Again, helping a child. Tě here is the direct object. So someone's gonna be putting on shoes on someone else. Nejdřív tě obuju. Nejdřív se obuju. I'm gonna put on my shoes. Nejdřív si obuju boty. This is a little redundant because obuju already means I'm gonna put on my shoes. But for example, if you wanted to specify what kind of shoes you're gonna put on. First, I'm gonna put on the green shoes. Nejdřív si obuju ty zelené boty. But here it's si just because we have another object. We have a direct object. So we cannot have two direct objects here. One will be indirect, si, and then boty. Or for example, if you said, I wore the wrong shoes, I put on the wrong shoes, it would be obul jsem si špatné boty. In that case, it would be necessary to actually say boty, špatné boty. But people say this as well. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just a little redundant because obout already means that you put on shoes. How do you like that verb? Another verb is ostříhat. Ostříhat means to cut completely with scissors. Ostříhat, usually connected with getting a haircut. Ostříhat vlasy nebo ostříhat nehty. To cut nails. We can also have stříhat, which would be neutral verb, to cut with scissors. But ostříhat means to get a full haircut or to fully cut your nails, for example. Ostříháš mi vlasy? Will you cut my hair? Ostříháš mi vlasy? Here I added mi, but it's because I'm saying my hair. So it is dative, but it's not reflexive. It's not si. My is in the place of moje vlasy. Ostříháš moje vlasy is wrong. Ostříháš mi vlasy? Will you cut my hair? Will you cut the hair to me? Konečně se ostříhal. He finally got a haircut. Konečně se ostříhal. Here we refer to he. On se ostříhal. Se. He cut his hair. This sentence doesn't tell us whether he actually cut his own hair or he went in and got a haircut from someone else. But he has a haircut now. That's important. Konečně se ostříhal. Potřebuju si ostříhat nehty. Nehty. I need to cut my nails. Potřebuju si ostříhat nehty. Nehty. I need to cut my si. Remember, is instead of saying my own nails. What happens if I say ostříháš si vlasy? That would be, will you cut your hair, your own hair? So be careful with me and si in this case. You want to make sure that the right person gets the haircut. We're getting towards the end. Zranit. Zranit means to hurt. Also a very important verb because it's practical. When you hurt yourself, when you hurt part of your body or you hurt someone, you need to know this verb. Zranit. To be exact, zranit means to hurt and injure. It doesn't mean that you're in pain, you are injured. Zranit. Zranil soupeře. He injured his opponent. On zranil soupeře. Soupeř. And soupeře, it's in the accusative case. Pozor, ať se nezraníš. Careful not to get hurt. Pozor, ať se nezraníš. Nezraníš se. Hurt yourself. Be careful not to hurt yourself. Pozor, ať se nezraníš. Zranila jsem si nohu. I injured my leg or foot. In Czech we don't make much of a distinction. I hurt my leg. Nohu, that's the direct object, the accusative, and si is in the place of moje. Moji nohu, we don't say moje, instead we say zranila jsem si nohu. I hurt the leg to myself. So if you say zranila jsem nohu, it sounds a bit weird. Zranila jsem nohu. That would mean I hurt a leg. And then naturally people would ask, whose leg? You could say zranila jsem někomu nohu. I hurt someone's leg. If there is a crowd and you bumped into someone and hurt their leg or their foot and you don't know that person and they left, you could say, myslím, že jsem někomu zranila nohu. But once you use this direct object here, specific direct object, it's natural to say si or anything else in the dative. It could also be zranila jsem ti nohu. I hurt your leg. Okay, this is our last verb. Připravit. Připravit means to prepare or get ready. Připravit. Of course, all of these verbs could also be in their perfective or imperfective form. I'm just showing you a sample. Připravím snídani. I'll prepare breakfast. Připravím snídani. Snídani. That's the direct object. Připravím snídani. Připravil ses dobře. Did you prepare yourself well? Připravil ses dobře. So you can prepare something or you can prepare yourself. For example, for an exam. Připravil ses dobře. Remember, how did we get this? Ses is a contracted form from si and se, which is not correct, and we contract it to ses. I also have a worksheet about that on past tense. This topic is related to a few of my videos that I have covered in the past, so you will find all those links below the video in the description. Připrav si tašku. Get your bag ready. It could also be pack your bag. Připrav si tašku. Get your bag ready. Připrav si tašku. Si means your own bag. A quick question. How would you say, I'll prepare breakfast for you? Připravím ti snídani. I'll prepare breakfast to you, literally. And what if you want to say, oh, prepare my bag? It would be připrav mi tašku. So that's the difference between the reflexive pronoun, and the regular pronouns. Any questions? Write them in the comments. Now let's do an activity to practice all of this. And I forgot to mention that if you would like to get extra practice with verbs, you should check out my ebook, The 100 Most Frequent Czech Verbs. And I also discussed this topic in my ebook, Just in Case, which is focused on Czech grammatical cases. These sentences look like they are complete, but there's something missing. Maybe. Look at these 6 sentences. Some of them will need se. Some of them might need si in the correct place. Some of them might need ses or sis. So we can have 4 options. Our 5th option is do not add anything. Pause the video and let's check it right now. Číslo 1. Počkej, nejdřív se obuj. Nejdřív se obuj. Because you're gonna put your own shoes. Nejdřív se obuj. Číslo 2. Proč sis před spaním myla vlasy? Proč sis před spaním myla vlasy? Why did you wash your own hair? Číslo 3. Jak jste se zranil? Jak jste se zranil? We need an object. Číslo 4. Tu ofinu jsem si ostříhala sama. Tu ofinu jsem si ostříhala sama. Číslo 5. Psychicky jsem se na to připravil. I prepared myself. Psychicky jsem se na to připravil. A poslední číslo 6. Obleč si tenhle svetr. Obleč si tenhle svetr. To je všechno. Thanks for watching. I'll be very happy if you like this video or comment. You can share it with some other people that you know that learn Czech. And if you're not subscribed, please do. Doufám, že jste teďka chytřejší. I hope you're smarter now. Mějte se, čau.